This morning, I'm going to dive right in, have something to share with you about moving into the next phase of humanity. Yes. Yes, it's time, right? So, what are we as humanity being called to for the best and highest of all concerned? That's the question. What are we as humanity being called to for the best and highest of all concerned? And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Reverend Richard for inviting me once again. I so appreciate it, and thank the board and all the staff for the invitation and the opportunity. Those of us who are listening, those of us who are tuning in around that question, are able to receive new visions, new thoughts, and new expressions of our collective and sacred existence in creating opportunities for love, for victory, and opportunities for great expansions and expressions of our divinity. How does this look? So, in the phases of our lives, and for generations to come, what does it look like? There have been many doomsayers and naysayers, but we know fear is not the answer. There have been many questions and opportunities when we look in the world. And we can ask, is that new phase coming? Is that new phase close at hand? Well, how do we get there? I'm just here to remind you the answer is you. Most of you know this. Some of you are remembering it. Some of us may get distracted, but at the end of the day, the answer is you. The answer is the truth of who you are, the divine expression here to contribute your voice, your unique contribution to our expansion. So let's talk about this new human. How many of you heard of that term, new human, right? How many of you heard of the term new earth? A little more, right? Check this out. For those of you who've heard the term new earth, well, I'm here to remind you that it starts with the new human. You don't pour new wine into old wineskins, as the saying goes from that wonderful teacher from Galilee, right? For those who are keeping track, Mark 2:22. So we're going to need to become the new humans in order to step fully into the new earth. That means letting go of old wineskins, discarding them and taking on a new one. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. The programming in our mind is that, my favorite phrase for it, limited, conditioned thinking. Some people call it the ego. This limited, conditioned thinking. That's the wineskins many of us are realizing don't serve us anymore. And in order to see the kingdom of God, the new earth that is at hand, we must be willing to let go of the limited, conditioned thinking or the old wineskins that cause division. Some of us are drunk on the old wineskins of division. It's being passed out for free in the news, in politics, in religion. The old wineskin being passed around, and there's plenty of it. Limitless happy hour. Right around political season, it's happy hour for everybody. You get a wineskin. You get a wineskin. So many of us are carrying around these old wineskins of separation that have truly been stretched to capacity and can't receive anything else. You see, back in those old days, they used to use animal skin for wineskin, right? Like goat skin, things like that. And they'd make these wineskins. They'd put the wine in it, the new wine, and what would happen? It would ferment, and what would happen to the wineskin? It would stretch and stretch and stretch and stretch. The gas pressure and the fermentation would cause it to stretch. So what would happen if you drink all that wine and you put new wine in it? It begins to ferment, the gas comes and it busts the old wineskin because it doesn't have any more stretch in it. On top of that, you just wasted the wineskin and the wine. It was a waste. You don't put new wine into old wineskins. Here's the cool thing. We can put new wine into new wineskins, but we've got to let go of these old ones. We've got to discard them in order to do so. Some of us are still holding on to beliefs in separation and expecting to enter this new earth of unity, oneness, perfection, and power. Some of us are still holding on to programming that has us, my favorite acronym for fear, forgetting everything's all right. Holding on to a wineskin labeled FEAR, forgetting everything's all right and getting drunk on it. Forgetting that there is a divine design, a divine order, and that God the good is everywhere present, all-knowing, all-powerful. Some of us are holding on to these labels of superiority, inferiority, drunk on the delusion that we are somehow better than our neighbor because of their political persuasion. Or better than our sister because of our superior occupation, financial situation, race, or even spirituality. That's a tricky one, isn't it? It's like, oh, wow, they're unenlightened. I'm superior. Drunk off the delusion of superiority, right? These old wineskins can get you tripped up. Some of us are finding ourselves addicted, wanting to enter the new earth, wanting to enter the oneness, the perfection, the power, that God is all there is, that all is well and always is, wanting to align with all these wonderful new thoughts or new wine. But it's not working. Why? Got to let go of the old wineskins. What are the wineskins you've been drinking from? The conditioned, limited thinking and programming that does not fit with all is well and always is. What wineskins are you holding on to that you don't want to let go? See, the ego will actually convince you when you're trying to accept this wonderful new wine. It will throw up all, what about this? What about this? What about this, this, and this? Right? It will throw up all kinds of justifications. And you'll feel it viscerally sometimes. And it will be drunk off of the wine of separation, drunk off of the wine of fear, threat, drunk off of the wine of believing that this is it and that there's no way all is well and always is, right? It won't fit. The new wine won't fit. That wineskin is stretched to capacity. So I'm here to tell you that whatever those old wineskins are, in order to be the new humans that inherit the new earth at hand, it's already here for everyone, by the way. We must let go. I'm only pointing out what you may have already remembered, or like me, forgotten, and then had to remember again. But you can't serve two masters. You cannot invest belief in separation, political superiority and inferiority, and believe, get this, the first principle of unity. There is only one presence and one power, active as the universe, in my life, God the good. right? The first principle of unity says it right there. Can I believe that principle and simultaneously believe that my political opponent is inferior or bad if there's only God the good active in my life and in the universe, right? Doesn't equate. But I'm not saying it's easy. I'd be foolish to get up here and act like it's easy. My greatest lesson was letting go of the wineskin labeled evil. That's an easy one to be drunk off of. Does that mean if we let go that there aren't nefarious forces? No, there are nefarious forces. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, principalities. There are dark forces. But guess what? They're part of our consciousness. They are not separate from us. And for those of us who invest belief in the separation, the judgment, and try to separate them from all that is, we get to continue in the cycle of suffering. How do you let go of that wineskin? Some of us go to a different type of AA. We call it alignment and awareness. Daily, moment to moment, so we can let go of the bottle of separation, evil, fear, harm, etc. For me, I had to ask, as I'm communing and aligning with that source and hearing over and over, evil is a construct. Evil is something you have created. But yes, there are dark forces, and it's part of your consciousness. Let go of the judgment. I was like, okay, how do I do that? I don't know how to do it. Help. And felt it viscerally disappear. It was like yanked out. Whatever works for you, I'm not saying you got to repeat how I did it, but you got to find, ask, seek, and knock in order to have these wonderful transformations, to be renewed or transformed by the renewing of your mind. Who does the work? Well, you do the practice, but guess what? Your higher self does the work. You do the practice so that you can align with the higher self, so that it can be your primary care physician. Don't go out of network. Right? Come back. So we must deny the old wineskins, the old drunkenness that tells us that anything that transpires has the power to separate us from our good. We cannot be the new humans and step into the new earth without letting them go. How do we do it? Again, using such things as prayer and meditation to align with God. Another unity principle. Through prayer and meditation, we align our heart, mind with God. Denials and affirmations are tools we use. Another unity principle. See, these are the tools we use to align with that mind, that new wineskin. Using denials to let go of the old wineskins. And using that great power to assist us. That's what the practice is for, right? We must deny this old wineskin, the old drunkenness that convinces us we are in any way separate from our good. We must remember our power to deny the fear-laden beliefs and affirm the divine order. That everything is working for our good. There's this beautiful song out, rapper, he's like, well, I want to try to sing it because I can barely remember it, but basically he just takes that phrase, everything is working for my good, over and over. It's such a hooky song. We can use songs as part of our affirmations, right? Sing them, vibrationally embody them. Don't you love how music can make you feel, just help you enter into that vibration? So many wonderful practices available. And they're those that help us realize that there is no separation, only God the good, and that the light always disperses the darkness. Darkness comes for a time, but the light is eternal. We must surrender to the source, aligning our hearts and minds through meditation, supplication, or as I like to explain it, asking in earnest, asking in earnest for help. When we're learning of our power, when we're learning that we're an extension of source and that we have limitless possibilities, it doesn't mean that we teach this lower conditioned personality side of us that it can do all things by itself, right? We're teaching it that it can surrender to its highest self, to the Most High, to the source, and harness the power that way. It's almost like when you teach a 5-year-old, you're trying to teach it that at some point the kids start to get independent. I can do it myself. And you're trying to teach them something new. No, I'll do it. And then they can't really do it, right? That's kind of how our egos are, right? We get a little bit of truth principle. Oh, God is everywhere. Oh, yeah, limitless power. Oh, yeah, I can do it myself. And then we're like, why isn't it working? It's like, what's wrong with this? It's not, I thought you said I have all power. Why is the world not changing? I spoke it, and so it is. It's still not working, right? We get this limited idea and start making these conclusions and want our independence just like our little 5-year-old kids, right? And that's okay. But then we learn the hard way. Okay, help, right? It's like my son, stop doing that, son. Oh, don't climb on the couch like that. Oh, no, not listening like that. Oh, help. Then you got to jump in and help him. It's our highest self is like the same thing. It's that interesting relationship, but we can also learn the easy way. It doesn't have to be the hard way. We can recognize the drunkenness of I can do it myself and recognize that that's actually a subtle form of separation. Separating ourselves not only from the highest self, but from each other. Not recognizing that the true I is us. And I'm not here to do it all myself, right? Put on your big boy pants and change the world. I'm not here to do that. When we start aligning, we realize, oh, I get to play this unique part. And my brothers and sisters are me playing this other part. And if we learn to stop drinking of the drunkenness of superiority, inferiority, separation, and fear, maybe we can see the beauty that God truly is all there is. Maybe we can actually start to recognize it and see clearly and have a different relationship with what's going on. And for the fourth principle of unity, through thoughts, words, and actions, we live the truth we know. I love that fourth principle. Through thoughts, words, and actions, we live the truth we believe. We live the truth we assume. We live the truth we practice. We live the truth we know. How in the world do you live truth that you know? That takes a breakthrough. It takes a realization. Before we get there, guess what we do? We try to live. Try, emphasis on try. People teach, don't say try. No, we try because we keep messing up and failing, right? So we try to live the truth we believe. What did Yeshua say to the Jews who believed him? This is John, the chapter of John, for those that don't know. There's a famous John. I love the fact that there's a John 3:16. You see it at football games. If you believe, for God to love the world, gave his only begotten son, whosoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. You know, you learn that as a kid, whoever grew up in church. And then 5 chapters later, Yeshua's, congratulations, guys, you believe. That's great. Good job. Give yourselves a hand. Now, to those who believe, he said, if you hold to my teachings, you'll know the truth, and the truth will set you free. They're like, free from what? Free from misperception, or as it was translated, sin, right? What does that mean? We use our thoughts, words, and actions. We demonstrate, we live the truth that we know. How do you know the truth? If you hold to my teachings, you'll know the truth. The truth will set you free. Here's a great question I learned growing up after reading that and contemplating it and meditating on it. I'm like, am I a slave to anything? Is there anything in my life that I can't seem to break away from, that I want to break away from? Perhaps the drunkenness of superiority, the drunkenness of reactivity, road rage, depression. These are the real deal, right? This was my life, that moodiness, that cycle every 3 to 4 months, stuck, couldn't break out of like a 3-day just dark hole. I'm talking about like since last year. Would hit this cycle and finally got help using the practices. The same practice I've been using, someone helped me amplify and use the same thing and uncover that pattern that needed to be reprogrammed. The drunkenness of all is not well. And I had suppressed the memory and judged it and was afraid of it and didn't see it as an ingredient that should be in my life, and created separation of the narrative of my own story and the harm and the fear and the threat, right? And this practice helped me reintegrate. And actually now when I brought that memory up and cried and did all that, it helped me bring that divine higher self to transform the memory into something that's, get this, pleasant. It doesn't make sense, I'm telling you. It does not make sense, but the mind of God doesn't make sense to the ego. The thoughts of spirit don't make sense to the limited conditioned thinking, personality, part of us that believes this is real and is tethered to it and afraid to leave it and threatened by the thought of it. Divine order doesn't make sense to that. The question is, do we want to continue the addiction of drinking from the wineskin of separation, or deny it, let it go, and invite the new wine so that we become the new skins, the new humans, and we expand our awareness just like the fermentation process without busting. Instead, we integrate and hold that new wine and let it mature. We take the top off and let it breathe. We use our practices to align with that knowing and transform our minds. So instead, we're no longer believing in thoughts of separation, superiority, inferiority, and our words and actions align with that of God, G-O-D, genius on demand. We recognize and release old wineskins, replacing them with the new quality of thoughts or divine wine that knows separation is an illusion, superiority and inferiority is an illusion at the level of essence, and that we are all extensions of God, children of the Most High, worthy of love and respect. If I had a sign, imagine at the bottom, it says, I love you, my child, signed God. Put yourself in there. Imagine you're there. Now imagine Donald Trump's there. Now imagine Kamala Harris is there. Now imagine Robert Kennedy Jr. is there. Now imagine our planet's there. I love you, my child. Signed, God. Genius on demand. Now, for those of us who that doesn't resonate with, ask yourself, which wineskin are you drinking from? The one that says there is only God the good present in the universe and in my life? God the good? And all activity is emerging from that presence? Or the one that says there's separation and there are exceptions to that? Right? So we go to the source and let that inform us. For those ready to claim a new earth, we simply align with that source of life to be transformed by the renewing of our minds, casting off old wineskins, transformed by our thinking from higher levels of a consciousness into new wineskins so that the vision for our lives can expand who we are showing up as, so we can be the true essence, limitless love and light. Now, that's for those who are ready to join AA. Alignment and awareness. For the rest of us, we can stay addicted and enjoy the dysfunction of drunkenness, right? As long as you want, it's your choice. You get to enjoy the suffering, it's okay. But that's the invitation, to choose consciously. Through the practices that help us choose thoughts, words, and actions so we can live the truth we come to know. And the truth we know is not the truth we believe. The truth we know is the truth we receive. The truth revealed from the Most High, not the doctrines, teachings, and beliefs, and even principles that have us believe in fear and separation, the political, religious, and even spiritual dogma that promote separation or division, superiority and inferiority, fear, and the like. No. We embrace the alignment with Source and let it guide us in all our thoughts, words, and actions to become the new humans and see the new earth that is already here, already present. May we claim our birthrights as children of the Most High to be the lights of the world. And so it is. Amen.